Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin, and today we are doing swatches and 2 looks with the Candy Skies collection from Laura Lee Los Angeles. Now that includes this eyeshadow palette as well as 2 lip glosses. So if you are interested in this collection, which is a collaboration with her niece Erin Weaver, if you like pastel shades, if you just like the sound of my voice and want to throw me on in the background, go ahead and keep watching. Before we get too far into the looks and video, if you have not already, please subscribe to my channel. I make new videos 2 times a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. It's totally free to subscribe, and I would love to have you guys on the channel. So we're gonna go ahead and get into swatches of this palette first, and then we'll have 2 looks before my final thoughts. Okay guys, so I decided to show you the swatches 1 row at a time just to have some room on my arm. And I'm actually going to start at this side and come this way just because that's the order of the top row on the palette. The first shade here is Marshmallow, and that is just a matte white. The mattes feel so creamy, you guys. I can't describe these mattes to any others. They just feel soft, and I know a lot of mattes might feel soft, but these just build really well and feel very blendable. Now, Laura did say in her video that this white is meant more as like a blending shade. It's not meant to be like a stark white that you lay down as a base before the colors. Next is Macaroon. I think that's how you say it. That is a really fun, like, pink and purple, a little bit of a shifty shade. I used that in the first look. I really like it. That's something very unique to my collection. Next is Pink Strawberry, and it is one of 2 shades that has kind of like this glittery formula. Kind of reminds me of ColourPop, where you don't see the glitter too much in it once it's swatched, but it's a little harder than just the mattes without the glitter to the touch. It's not a pressed glitter though, it is eye safe, all of that, so don't worry when I say glitter, there are just some glitter mica particles in it. Next here is Peach Ring, and I do want to say for these mattes, these are not one swipe swatches. I did have to build them up, but they built very beautifully. Next is Sunset, which in the pan looks like a copper, but it is more of like an orange reddish shimmer. You can see swatched quite a bit deeper than I thought, but not as brown or copper looking as I thought. Next is Mint Chip, and guys, that is the most a mint has ever showed up on my skin, so I'm very excited to play with that one today. That's going to be the second look that I use that shade. Then we have Sky Blue on the end there, which is also really nice for a pastel. So obviously these are swatches on fair skin. If you need to see how these look on a deeper complexion, I'm sure there are other swatches out there for you, but obviously I am super fair. So here's row 1. Alright guys, here is the second row. Starting over on this side, we have Mixed Berry, a metallic purple, E-Bug, a matte light lavender, Sugar Mama, a deep berry, which I can already tell you from my finger in the swatches that this one is going to stain, so just be aware of that. Roasted Caramel is giving me all of the fall vibes. It's this lovely, like, burnt rust orange. Cloudy looks really cool. It's another duochrome. It's like an olive to an orange. Shift. Hopefully you can see the base when I twist my arm there. Pistachio and Blue Raspberry are really nice shimmers, but I will say they felt a little harder pressed than some of the other shimmers, and I did have to build them up to this point. They were just a little more work, I guess you could say. They didn't have this opacity right away, but I don't mind that. Just something to note for Pistachio, the mint metallic, and Blue Raspberry, the blue kind of teal shimmer at the end there. So that's the second row of the palette. Alright guys, so I started filming this whole look and didn't press record, so sorry about that. Let me catch you up here. Ignore my hair, we're gonna fix that in a minute. But all I've done so far is go in with E-Bug here. I'm trying to do more of a purpley look today. And I did that with my M441. That's truly all I've done in the look so far. So I kind of want to deepen up the outer corner, but I don't know if I want to do that necessarily. Like, I like this color, but I don't know if I want to deepen it up with a shimmer. So I almost feel like I should deepen it up with this, but I don't know if that's going to be too pink. I don't know. Do you guys use shimmers to deepen up your outer corner or not as much? I really do want it to be purple, so I think I'm gonna try it. So I'm gonna go with Mixed Berry here. And I'm gonna take that on my Morphe JS6 brush. Just to let you know, guys, of all the palettes I've tried from this brand, there's only one that I didn't like, and it was Animal Party. I just didn't think the quality was there for the vibrant colors that were in the palette. That's just me personally. They were a bit patchy, but other than that, I really like the original Nudie Patootie palette. I haven't tried the Volume 2 edition of that palette. I really like the Boss Babe palette. I own Sleigh Bell, which is one of her holiday palettes, but I have not tried it yet. It is in my palettes of shame pile. I kind of thought it might be a fun video to do sometime. You guys let me know in the comments if you're interested in seeing a video of what's in my pile of shame that you guys might be interested in seeing what I own, but I just have not gotten to use yet. So let me know in the comments about that. I think this is deepening it up okay, giving it a little bit of dimension even though it's a shimmer. I'm trying to pat it and just like pack it into spot more than wiping it. I don't want to have a lot of fallout since I already did my complexion. I have a little bit, but it's just a little, and I think I'm gonna be able to brush it away just fine and wipe it away since I do have a bit of Coty Airspun translucent powder on my face as well. Now I'm going to take an M506 and I'm going to go in with Macaroon, which is this shimmer right here on the rest of the lid. So I did hear Laura Lee say, she's the owner of the brand if you're not aware of, Laura Lee Los Angeles. I did hear her say that this palette is just like a limited edition moment. It's not permanent. So if you are interested in this palette, try to snag it while you can because it sounds like there will not be a restock once they're gone. I think they still have the bundles with the lip glosses for the discounted price on their site right now as well. That's the deal that I ended up getting. I was going to wait and not get this palette and try to see if there would be a sale. But then when she said it wasn't coming back once it restocked, I kind of panicked and was like, well, what if it sells out? You know, I don't want, you know, the feeling of FOMO was real. So I don't know, maybe there will be some sales on it if there is stock left by holiday Black Friday time, but obviously it's not a guarantee that it'll be there, so I guess take your chances. I definitely wanted to get this look up for you guys though, because to me this palette is one of the last like summer huzzahs. I feel like this is more of a spring summer palette. And now that it's almost October, I'm going to be moving more into fall content. I have already, but I also know that some of you had told me when you saw that I bought this palette that you wanted to see some looks with it and see my impressions on the palette and the quality. So far, the mattes have a lot less fallout than the shimmers. Just show you my palette here. You can probably see in this purple quadrant just like all of the fallout and dirtiness that's on the palette now just from me using Macaroon and Mixed Berry. Like I said, the fallout's not crazy on my actual face because I'm trying to pack and press in instead of like swiping and wiping. You could probably use your fingers too to avoid some of that, but I wanted to use a brush. I don't like getting makeup all over my hands, if I'm being honest. I prefer using a brush when I can get away with it. And I didn't spray these guys or use a glitter primer or anything, so they may pack even more of a punch if you did that, but I like them how they are so far. Taking that brush that I had Mixed Berry on and just using whatever's left for the lower lash line here on the outside. I definitely like this a lot more than Party Animal. That's the one palette I've tried and did not like. I think this is really nice. The purples are purple. The opacity is there. Macaroon has kind of like a blue reflect in it as well. That's very pretty. I'm going to go in with an M560 and just take a little bit of the matte white Marshmallow and stick it on the inner corners. Now, I do remember Laura even said in her video, this white is not meant to be like a stark white. You can use it as an inner corner highlighter. I guess maybe you could use it as a base all over the eyelid to try to help make the colors pop, but mostly it's just meant as a shade to help you blend out some of these colors if you need it. So No, it's not stark white, but you know, I feel okay about that, especially because she gave the disclaimer that they didn't design it in mind with it being a stark white. It's meant to be more of a subtle highlighting white. I think that's all the shadows I'm gonna do for this look. I know it's super simple, but I feel like this palette lends itself to very simple looks. I love the layout out of it. I think you can really easily see quads, like a purple quad, more of a pink duo, or an orangey quad. You could do more of a green and orange quad, and then of course like a blue-green quad. I just think it's really laid out nicely for something that's beginner friendly. And so far, the more lighter like pastel shades are showing up on fair skin, which sometimes is a concern for me. Fair skin doesn't always make the pastels pigments show up, at least for me personally. And before I forget, this is scented. I just caught a whiff of it and it reminded me. It smells like sweet tarts to me. So it smells like candy. It's very, very yummy smelling. It's not like sickeningly sweet. It's just like a teeny little whiff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some sort of liner probably, and mascara. I'm gonna use one of the glosses from the collection, fix this hair a little bit, and I'll be back to show you look number 1. All right guys, here we are with the final look. I did add a little bit of silver liner. I used this little cake liner quad that I got from Mida Cosmetics. It is the Estico X Glam by Angelic quad here. I've never tried cake liners before, so I did something a little graphic for fun. I think it turned out really nicely. I added my Milk Makeup Kush mascara, and what else here? Oh yeah, from the collection, the Candy Skies lip gloss, first lip gloss that Laura Lee Los Angeles has ever released. I love this ombre cap. It's so nice. This is in the shade E-Bug. From the reviews I've seen, both of the glosses look the same on the lips. It just looks like a clear gloss. Has a nice scent. It's very sweet, but it's not vanilla, but it is in the like baked goods category. Laura Lee Los Angeles also makes my favorite lip shape applicator of all times. I don't know what it is about her shape. Hopefully you guys can see here how the doe foot, like, it's pointed, but then it's like got a little type situation there. I don't know how to explain it, but it fits my lip perfectly. Best applicator on the market in my opinion. #1 favorite. So like I said, there's 2 glosses in the collection, and I will use the other gloss in look 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into look 2 now. Alright guys, it is time for look number 2. Complexion's done, got my brushes ready to go, primer is down, and we're going primarily for kind of a mint look today instead of more of the purple range we did before. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to try out all of the shades in this video, but there are swatches, and let me know if you want to see more looks with this. I'm going to start with an M441, and I'm going to go into Mint Chip, which is that matte mint color. I'm super excited to see how this goes on the eyes, because this is one that when I swatched it, it was kind of sheer at first, but it really built up nicely. So I want to see if it builds as much on the eyes as I was able to swatch and build it up in the swatches. This would be a really pretty color, I think, just to do like all over the eyes, and then pick like a topper shade from like Adept or something like that cosmetics, and just put one of those companion palette shades all over the lid over this as a matte. I think that would be so pretty. All right, I think that built up quite a bit. What do you guys think? I could probably get it to go even more than that, but since I am using it as kind of like a crease transition shade, I don't want to go too crazy. Now, my only complaint about this palette is that there's not a lot of deepening shades. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with Cloudy, this kind of duochrome shade on the outer part of my eye, and Pistachio, the lighter metallic on the inner part while I talk here. But as I was saying, with my JS6 from Morphe, there are palettes like the Tokyo palette from Nomad Cosmetics that have pastels, and they kind of pull in like the like gray or black elements of like being able to make things a little bit smokier but still pastel. So I like that element of that palette better than this one per se. But I will also say that I like the formula of these pastels a bit better as far as the mattes are concerned. Nomad has like that satin formula in that Tokyo palette, and I'm not a huge fan of the satins as the pastel. Like, I wish they were true mattes, and this one is. So what the Tokyo palette is missing, this makes up for, and what this is missing, that makes up for. So I have both in my collection. I feel like between the two, I have the best of both worlds. So just a little comparison or some notes for some of you that might have that palette or like other pastel things. This cloudy shade has an intense amount of fallout. I don't know if you can see it underneath there, but hopefully we can brush it away. Cloudy is kind of working as a deepening shade on the outer third though. It could just be fallout because this maybe is meant to be as a shimmer used more with your fingers to press on, and I'm using a brush, so that could just be user error. I'm going to go in with an E36 from Morphe for that pistachio shade on the inner portion. I'm going to try to just press it and see if pressing gives me a little less fallout than kind of the swiping motion that I was doing before. And if I can't achieve what I want here, just pressing, may just have to give up and go in with my fingers. Yeah, this is not working. So that also might be because this is one of those shimmers that I told you guys when I was swatching that was just a little not as good as the other ones in my opinion. It's a little more hard pressed, and it took a little more finessing. Yeah, that's okay. And like, here's the shimmer. I know I showed you swatches, but it's just not as glitzy, I don't think, as some of the other ones. Like, here's Cloudy next to it. Like, the texture's even different of Cloudy. It's a little more soft press and more like, chunky's not the right word because I don't want you to think it's a bad thing, but it's like flaky texture on this one compared to the shimmer. They just seem like two different shimmer formulas to me. I don't know. So there's just a little inconsistency in the palette, or perhaps they intentionally wanted two different short shimmer formulas in the palette. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember her saying anything about that in her video where she dropped this with Erin. I'm gonna go back in and put just a bit more Cloudy on the outside to try to deepen it here. And I'm gonna take an M560 and go in with Marshmallow, just because that's like one of the only, that's like the lightest, you know, inner corner shade here. Again, you could go in with your highlighter or something sparkly if you wanted. I feel like you could do a lot more with this palette if you treat it as a companion palette versus a standalone, but you can also absolutely do a 1 to 2 shade out the door look, I think, with this palette by itself. I'm gonna go add lashes and finish up, and I will be back to show you the final look. All right, guys, all I did was add mascara and cleaned up the fallout. I will say the fallout did not just like wipe away easily. It smeared like shimmer everywhere, and I had to go back in with my foundation brush and try to do a little fixing. So that was with the shade Cloudy that happened. So I'd recommend either using your finger for that shade, maybe trying some glitter glue to get it to adhere, or just plain doing your eyes first if you're gonna do that. Obviously I was, I think, able to save it, but it was just a pain. So forewarning with that shade. I also added the Strawberry Sky lip gloss from the collection since I did E-Bug with my first look. So that is all. Let me zoom out here and give you my final thoughts. All right, so all in all, I am happy that I purchased this collection. The applicators from Laura Lee Los Angeles on their lip products are my favorite of all time. They just happen to fit my particular personal lip shape the best I have found. The glosses smell amazing. Now, the two shades do look, in my opinion, exactly the same on the lips, but I do actually prefer Strawberry Sky a little bit over E-Bug. The reason being, even though they look the same, I think you can feel the tiny little glitter pieces in E-Bug on the lips. So Strawberry Sky wins for me just a little bit based on comfortability. The mattes are absolutely gorgeous. They're my favorite in this palette. Some of the shimmers are amazing, but as I mentioned in look 2, there was a little bit of inconsistency, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. I'm also not a huge fan of the shades that are mattes with some of the glitters in them. They're just kind of hard pressed, although the pigmentation is great. This palette builds up on fair skin as far as pastel shades are concerned better than many others I have found. In fact, the only other one that is even close is the Nomad Tokyo palette that I have found. And as I mentioned before, those are more satins than matte shades. So this is different in my collection. I do feel like looks like this you can get away with. It doesn't have to be like a summer or spring palette. If you especially pull in some deeper shades to do more like grungy fall, whatever, I think you could pull this out more than just in the summer and spring if you use it as a companion palette. You might also like some of those pastel shades just to help you with transition colors as we get into the fall months. You know, there's some berry tones, that really nice rust color in this palette. So just some different things for you to consider as you are deciding whether you want this palette or not. I did make it clear in her video with Erin that this was limited edition, so you can still get the gloss bundle for $24. The palette alone is $45. The glosses alone are $16 each. Or you can get a bundle, which is what I did, and the bundle altogether is $59. Although she said there were limited bundles, like it's in stock on her site. So like I said, just be aware that once those go out of stock, she said they're not restocking, it's not coming back. So I'm not one of those people to say, panic buy it, you know. I don't know how low the inventory is. I bought this probably a month ago and I'm just now getting to it and it's still in stock, so it could be in stock for several months. It could be in stock for a week. I really don't know, but it is limited edition. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up before you go. Can't wait to read what you guys think of the two looks in the palette below, and I hope to see you back on my next video. Bye!